I really seem to like doing these videos in bed because there's something that's so honest about pajama makambe. You know, like no makeup makambe and no pants makambe because sometimes, why am I telling you this? Hi, sweet potatoes. It's me. I have a word today that I would like to deliver. It is my intention to deliver this with a quietness and a softness because I'm realizing that that is how some channels want and need to be delivered. Some realizations and some streams are really big and bright and loud, and others, like this one, is it's deeply powerful, but it also wants to be quiet. I'm also trying to learn more about my energy, the way that I receive information, and see what is within my control. And I guess trying to find where my sweet spot is, or what my sweet spots are, or might be, or at the very least, what my sweet spot is for today. I've been listening to a lot of tarot readings, channel messages, or just like people rambling and ranting and saying whatever they want to talk about in kind of softer, maybe not fully ASMR-ish kind of vibes, but sort of. And there is something about receiving information like that that feels really nice for my brain and my heart and my body and my mind and my soul and my teeth and my spirit in this world that is so overstimulating. I feel really addicted to YouTube. I just feel like those people have a hold on me. Like the other social, I didn't really think of it as social media, but it is social media. And it doesn't feel busy in the way that, for example, my Instagram does, because I'm just like, there's all these niggas that I know that I'm just seeing all the time, like doing whatever they're doing. It doesn't feel personal in the external social way, but it's personal because the algorithm, as fucked up as it is, I don't know what those people are doing there. I'm not convinced they really like us. But whatever it is that it's feeding off of and whatever the algorithm's intention is, it's reacting to things that I've been reacting to. And so there's a different personalness to that medium. Anyway, sometimes it's a real delight for me to click on a video when I'm in this space of like, blah, blah, blah. My brain is moving so quickly that I just kind of like, I don't even know that I'm doing it because the algorithms, they know how our brains work. And let me even not go down that rabbit hole, but I have found a lot of relief and opportunity to slow down and breathe in these videos that are softer and slower, lo-fi, low tech, that just remind me that I'm a human and that I get to breathe. Maybe if you're watching or listening, maybe you should do a few breaths with me, because why not? Ready? In, out. My breathing feels shallow. Let's do that again. In, out. Let's do one more, like the deepest we can muster at this time. In, hold it. Out. Oh. Okay, that was me trying to get all the air out of my lungs, but I didn't warn anybody before that. So That might have been an adventure to observe, but anyway, thanks for sticking with me. Okay, here's the channel. Some of you are currently suffering and beating yourselves up because you feel like you have writer's block. You feel like you have a creative block and you keep articulating this cluster of stuck energy as such. I'm blocked, I'm blocked, I'm blocked, I'm blocked, I'm blocked. Some of you are really frustrated. Some of you are in a lot of pain in your chest and in your shoulders. It always manifests for me in this, in my right shoulder. Some of you feel deeply hurt. Hurt. What does that mean? Some of you feel, what does that mean? Hurt by your writing practice? Some of you feel hurt by taking a creative path and choosing to walk that creative path and declaring it to the people around you or to the world or to yourself. And you feel hurt about the fact that you did this brave thing and made this declaration. And now you're not doing the work. You might have done some work or put some things out. You might have had some quote unquote successes or some relatively promising, let's call them successes. You may have had some output that brought about positive validation from places that it felt really nice to be validated by, which isn't a bad thing. But I'm just trying to, I guess I'm trying to describe who I feel like I'm speaking to. So if I'm speaking to a person who has experienced this calling to be an artist, calling to express, calling to be an artist, one, then number two, they feel a calling to create a particular piece or a particular group of pieces. It could look like I'm a writer and I have like sort of 3 or 4 plays that I'm working on, or 3 or 4 whatevers. Take it out how it resonates. I'm going to speak to writers a lot, but this is for any creative, really. You may feel, I don't know if it's embarrassed, I don't know if it's ashamed, I don't know if it's confused as to why you're not doing the thing that you've always loved to do the most, and it's really scaring you. There's a part of you that's asking, like, did I fuck up? Did I not actually realize that I'm maybe not cut out for this, or I'm not good at this? Your mind goes there sometimes, but that's not where it usually stays. How can I explain that better? Let's say of all of your concerns about the writing and your big sort of questions, the idea of like, maybe I'm not a writer, it's there and it's constant, but it doesn't feel as hot. It feels like a level 3 out of 10. It's just always there. Maybe I'm not a writer, but anytime that you go through any information through your mind and your memories, you know that you're a writer, you know that you have written, people have told you that about yourself. You have seen that you are a writer. You have seen that you have a sense of craft. You can watch things and read things and consume things, and you can pick out this one is good writing, this one, not so much. You are smart. You've got a really unique perspective. You've got a unique lens with which you see the world. It's a lens that simultaneously you you on the one hand you love yourself. You love the person who has emerged after experiencing and tasting and surviving and flowing through all of the things that have made you you. You love yourself. You love your perspective. You feel individual and unique, but also you have an innate knowing that your perspective from your particular lens that acknowledges all of the different parts of who you are, both on the outside and inside, is connected to a greater collective, a greater soul family, a greater community. And that community might look like I'm a Nigerian writer, so I'm going to go find community with other Nigerians. It could look like that. But that community could also be far more undefined. When I did Our Fathers, when I performed my play Our Fathers, um, I had set out with a particular audience in mind. I had said that I wanted the show to speak to Black young people first, like teens specifically, but then it was really for Black families, for Black life, and that's amazing and special. And I love to create space like that for Black folks, and also that was part of the community that I tapped in while I was doing that work. And then there's also a different group, which is a bit of a Venn diagram with the Black folks that I realized as I continue to share this story in different parts of the country and meet people, that there was a different inner circle energetic of people who got what I was doing not just in a artistic or a craft way, but they understood like the spiritual and the ritual of it. They just understood it beyond a play or a theatrical experience. They understood the honoring of the ancestors. They understood the idea of release. They understood some of the really nitty gritty things that I was trying to do on a spiritual level, and how and why I set up the space the way I did. There's certain people who understood that and could articulate that back to me. And that inner circle of people was of different ages, they were of different races, they were of different gender identities. And so community can also mean like that circle. So I wasn't necessarily, I guess I was, but if you had asked me like who's this play for, I was initially saying it's for Black teens and it's for Black people. But understandably, the piece resonated with people from all backgrounds, and that in itself is its own kind of community. So you might have an internal innate knowing that you are part of some really specific, special communities that are both easily definable and not easily definable. And you innately know that your perspective is unique, that there is a craving for it somewhere in your mind. You feel like I should put this out into the world. And that is why you started writing whatever thing that you are writing and whatever thing that you feel blocked about or with in this moment. If this message is for you, then you're going to know because you are a person who is obviously you're an artist. You're artsy, you're an artist. You have felt called to work, you've created work before. You've built some confidence in your skills. Now you're taking on a new venture with new challenges and you feel stuck. You feel confused because in the beginning of this venture, this call, you really felt a call. You really felt like there was something in your stomach, in your heart, in your back, in your chest that was just pulling you. deliciously towards this particular point where you are going to create this work. Some of you already have a draft done. Some of you have already started. Some of you are halfway through. Some of you have outlined, like, this is a thing that you are serious about and you have put work into it. Some of you have even applied for funding. Some of you are like, this is speaking about a project that has been in the works in some shape or form for a while. And being in the works can sometimes look like I've been writing it for a while, and other times it's just that I've been thinking about it and conceptualizing it. But there's an energy of, there's a lot that I've already put into this. If you have a project like that and you feel stuck and blocked and you don't know why, I think that this message is for you. So welcome to those people. Hi, kindreds. Um, yeah, I got something really juicy today, so I'm so excited to share it. Here's the tea. The key to unlocking your writer's block, quote unquote, is actually self care. The term self care feels so flat. It was very trendy and popular a few years ago. There are all these beautiful words and phrases and notions that the internet just bastardizes. Like, woke is now a slur, which is crazy. What? Or people's misunderstanding of the Nigerian idea of soft life and what that exists on the internet as now. And self-care is one of those terms that it's the best that I have. It's the best that I can reach for because it's the best way to describe the thing. But I will dive into exactly what I mean so that you don't just think that I am suggesting that the way to unlock your brain in your writing project is to have a bubble bath with candles and drink a glass of wine and have a slice of chocolate cake, even though those things are nice. Anything can be medicine depending on what it's treating, right? So I don't want to dog on that, but sometimes people have said that that is self-care when that's not actually the medicine that the person, that the vessel needs. Self-care, let's unpack it so that it's not making your brain do this thing of like, self-care, I don't like that she's talking about self-care. No, I actually feel your resistance. And I love it and I love you and I bless it. Let's talk about taking care of ourselves. Let's put it like this: the reason that you are blocked in your creative writing project is that you are being called to take a particular kind of care of yourself that you do not realize that you're not participating in right now, or participating in fully, or doing the things that you need to do in order to get the benefits of the nourishment that will come when you properly engage in those practices. There's also a sense of, oh my gosh, there's so much information coming through right now. Okay. The type of self care that you might not be doing right now actually has a lot more to do with shadow work. Shadow work is the process of understanding your shadow, understanding the part of you that is not maybe fully conscious, not always at play, or not always, I don't want to say that it's not there for your good, but your shadow is the part of you that exists inside that is still trying to help you get the things that it thinks you want, but it might not actually be the things that your higher self wants. So your shadow is the part of you that, say you dive into a new venture and you're so excited to go and, start your business or launch your thing or dive into your project, your shadow will sabotage you because it's trying to protect you, because the shadow department of your spirit is the one that has the lists of all the merits, demerits, infractions, basically everything that's ever gone wrong and everything that's ever hurt you. And there's a computer in there, and there's a little guy, there's a little minion in there, and he just operates all of these screens with data and like images and memories of times that you did things and then you got hurt. And every time you get hurt, it gets a report that comes through the fax machine, and the little guy files it, and he's like, okay, so today we asked a girl out and she said no, and that felt terrible, so now we will never put ourselves out there again like this. And your shadow comes up with all of these coping strategies that can actually sabotage the thing that you're going for. So, with the example of trying to ask a girl out that you like, you might end up in a situation where you want to ask someone out or you're even dating them, but the part of your shadow that fears that rejection might actually sabotage that relationship or end it so that you can end it and be empowered before they have the power to end it with you. And you might be saying, I really want a relationship. I really love this person. I really want to date this person. But your shadow is operating to be like, I really want to keep you safe. I really want to keep you safe. And so when you don't know, it just sort of sneakily comes in and can sabotage. Or this system of shadow is very, very sophisticated. It can, it's it's wild, and we all have it. Um, but you could think that you really want a thing and then sabotage it last minute, and you don't know why. And it's because the part of you, your shadow, is not integrated, or you don't really understand how to work with it. Um, and how to heal some of the reasons and release some of the things that it's trying to protect you from. So it can run a bit of a muck. Don't be afraid of your shadow, though. Your shadow is just, it's all you, by the way. It's all you. It's not an external force. It's not a demon or the devil. It's not, no, it's just you. It's just a part of you, your own personality and your brain and your experience. But um, the idea of shadow is useful in thinking of it because it is not on the forefront. It's not easily seen, right? But it does operate in a particular way. Hmm. Why do I want to turn this off right now? I really want to turn this off and start again. But since I'm talking about my shadow, sometimes sabotaging in ways that are sneaky, I'm going to not turn it off and start again. I'm just going to keep going from here. I'm just looking at the time, and I've already racked you guys up for 23 minutes, and I haven't really even gotten to the nitty gritty of it. So I hope that I'm supposed to just keep going. I'm going to try that even though I want to turn it off. Weird. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I'm not going to turn it off. I'm going to keep going. I'm going to keep going. What's the worst that's going to happen if I keep going? I'm going to keep going. Okay. Okay. Thank you for that example. What you just saw, that little negotiation that my brain did, that was my shadow. That was my shadow. If you're still listening now, then you think it's fine that the video is this long. If the video is for you, or if this audio is for you, then it's fine that it's this long. But I did have this little moment where my shadow came and tried to protect me, and the shadow leads us away from feeling safe in our vulnerability. There is such a thing as feeling safe in your vulnerability. Vulnerable doesn't always mean feeling unsafe. Vulnerable could just mean vulnerable, but there is something really nice about being vulnerable and feeling safe in that vulnerability. It's why people love to dom and sub, right? Like the idea of the submissive, like feeling held by a safe dominant, however it is that that dynamic happens, whether it's, I don't know, it could be romantic, it could be sexual, but it could also just be friendship. It could be a professional structure. Sometimes there's something nice about being held and feeling like vulnerable and being on a receiving end in a way that is really beautiful. To feel safe enough to explore that vulnerability is really beautiful. The self-care that I'm talking about, the reason that you might feel creatively blocked is that you are not fully telling the truth on yourself. There are conversations that you need to have that you're not having. And the reason that you're not having these conversations is that you are scared of the outcomes. Some of these conversations are with other people. Some of these conversations, actually, most of these conversations are with yourself. There are some things that you need to be honest with yourself about, and those things are scary. And you probably have very good reason for wanting to avoid or prolong or put off the revelation of these outcomes. And I want to hold space for the fact that that's really hard. It's really hard. And I totally understand why you don't want to look in the places that you need to look. And you have your reasons. And your shadow is bringing up reasons why you shouldn't look there or go there. Your shadow is understandably trying to protect you, but it's just a friendly reminder that your shadow doesn't drive the car. You drive the car. So your shadow is there, and it's good because she's going to say, like, hey, watch out for these things. And you just have to say, thanks. You're right. Thank you. And also, the fear of those things is not going to drive the car. If this message is for you, you are sitting on a creative project that is deeply personal. Everything we write is personal because it comes from us. Everything we make is a reflection of us in some shape or form because it was born within and through us. If you are resonating with this today, you are working on a piece of writing that is deeply vulnerable in a way that you didn't realize how vulnerable it was. You thought that you were writing characters or a reality or a setting or a place or whatever. You thought you were writing something that is in the land of make believe, something that suggests parts of who you are. Maybe there's a character who looks like you or sounds like you. Maybe the city that you've placed the story in is very much like the city you live in or grew up in. Maybe the dynamic in the family reminds you a lot of dynamics that you've seen in your family. You told yourself that you were drawing from some of those things, but of course it's a story, so you're going to dramatize, or I don't want to say embellish if it's fiction, but you were going to use the power and the medium of writing and craft to draw from those things and then make something even bigger, better, different. That all of these pieces of your life, the people you knew, the experiences that you've had, the pain that you've experienced, and the things that you've learned from those experiences, good, bad, and ugly, You thought that, wow, I really want to stop this video right now. This is crazy. But I'm not going to. You thought that you weren't writing about yourself. You thought that you weren't writing about your deepest vulnerabilities, and your deepest heartbreaks, and your deepest desires. You thought you weren't writing about you. You didn't set out to write about you. You set out to write about things that you're interested in, things that matter to you, things that matter to other people, and things that absolutely do resonate in your heart, but you didn't set out to write about you. The reason that you're blocked in this project right now is that you feel very, very exposed. And that wasn't the plan. You weren't expecting to go down this journey where it would be this vulnerable. The current vulnerability and the resistance to lean into it that is causing this block is the result of possibly two things. One of those things might be that when you started working on this piece, you were able to sit with yourself more. You had the ability to really sit with your own thoughts, sit with your own mind. You weren't itching and crawling to get out of your skin. You didn't need social media. You didn't need a podcast on all the time. You didn't need Netflix on all the time to just get through your day because you're so afraid to sit with what's in your mind and in your heart and in your body. You were at a place and space where you could sit with yourself. You were more at peace when you started this project. And it's why you were able to download the beginnings of it, the basic structure or the basic sort of concept of this world or this idea. It's because you were in the right vibration to download and receive those things. One possibility is that today, as you're now trying to pick it back up, you're not in that vibration anymore. So re entering back into the work is really hard. You are not where you were in terms of openness when you began the project. So now it feels really difficult to complete it because it's almost like you're not the same person. Mm-hmm. That's option A. Option B is that you didn't know what the truth is that you thought about certain things that you really care about that have to do with your life or your circumstances and your fears. You didn't know, like you surprised yourself with your own truth telling that is starting to come through the piece. And now you're uncomfortable because you're like, oh, how did we get here? Some of you might be even scared to do that work and go down that rabbit hole because it feels like, oh my gosh, if I take this piece there, especially when it's something longer form, if I take this piece there, what if I never come out? What if it gets too upsetting? I want you to know that all of those thoughts are really understandable and extremely valid. Very, very valid. And that they are actually a natural part of the writing process, especially if you're an artist who is out here to write things that are true and mean something and have resonance. I understand more and more now why some writers just they say all I want to do is write romantic comedies. And there's actually nothing wrong with that. There's some writers who I don't want to call it the easy way out because those things still take work, but I do think that it's a different undertaking when you don't know where the work is taking you. There's a level of surrender and also labor that you have to do because you have to surrender while you're still laboring and allow the piece to come through you and form the way it's going to form versus sometimes there are certain types of writing that don't cost the writer that much from that internal soul level. It's still a lot of work and it still takes heart and intention and spirit, But there's some writers who seem to have cracked the code, I feel, of writing without accessing that, um, and writing without touching that vulnerability. And man, God bless them and their bag. God bless them. And also, there's a part of me that feels salty towards them, but I also don't know if that's fair. But you are a person who is kind of here for the real deal, and you're learning that you have to be a lot more vulnerable in this work than you initially intended. And now you're like, oh gosh, do I want to do it? But then you're staring at this thing that you've half written, and you're like, I really want this to be in the world, but like, who's gonna do all that work? Fuck. Fuck, who's gonna do all that work? I really believe that there is a correlation between truth telling in real life and truth telling on the page. I know that it's scary, but what if you allowed yourself to just write the messiest, most revealing version of the thing? The thing that you are embarrassed for your mom or your friends or your ex to come to, because you will know that they will recognize you so much through that piece, and they will even recognize themselves. And that feels terrifying and also embarrassing. What if you just wrote that? What if instead of sitting here and thinking about how they're going to react when the book comes out or when the play is produced, what if you just wrote the messiest version of the thing? What if the safety that you're trying to create for yourself, and you deserve safety, love, you do, and you can have it. What if the safety that you are creating for yourself actually exists on the page, not away from it? What if that is the place and space to throw the hard emotions and the hard things? Remember, a draft is just a draft. What if the thing that you are being called to do right now is to just get it all out there, just purge it all out and bring it to some form of completion in terms of the draft, not the overall project? And then give it a rest and take some time away from it. And then come back and see what you think. What if you remembered that you could really trust yourself to come back to a piece of your own writing and go, this is actually not so bad. This is actually pretty good. Versus like, oh, this is not a thing that needs to go out into the world. What if you trusted yourself to be able to do that in terms of your craft and whether or not the thing was quote unquote good? And what if you trusted yourself enough to know that if you are talking about your shitty dad in your play, what if you trusted yourself enough to write whatever it is that you wanted to write? Fully go into all of those emotions and curiosities and explanations and heartbreaks and layers. Like, what if you just really put it all out there on the page and left it alone and came back and decided where that piece should go from there? Sometimes we write pieces that are not for the world. Sometimes we write pieces that are just for ourselves in our own hearts. Sometimes we write pieces that are for ourselves in our own hearts, then we don't put them out, or we just sit on them and then at a certain point we put them out, or we put parts of them out. I'm reminding you that you can go to these vulnerable places in your work, but it requires you to go to these vulnerable places with yourself. It's such a mind trick. Your body, your shadow will tell you everything it needs to tell you so that you don't do the thing. Look at how many times I've tried to stop this video. I hope you can be like me when you grow up, because I'm so cool. I hope you can be like me in the way that I felt some strong impulses to stop the thing that I was doing. And I recognized that that is the thing that my shadow does sometimes. And then I weighed out the pros and cons. If I stop the video because now I'm starting to feel like, oh my gosh, this is dumb. Oh my gosh, who wants to listen to this? Oh my gosh, like nobody watches these. Oh my gosh, this is just weird fodder for like later when you get famous. Like, what if you get famous and then like you said something politically incorrect or you said something stupid and then somebody comes and gets a viral clip of it and then they take away your Oscar. Like this is this is a particular side of my shadow that sometimes holds me back from doing things because I'm trying to protect a later version of myself who apparently has things that are easily taken away, which doesn't even make sense when I work through it. But I hope that you can just sort of sit there with those moments and those doubts and really actually sit there with them and you can logic them away. Because when I weigh the pros and cons of, okay, I feel dumb, I feel stupid, nobody's going to be into this, nobody's going to watch it. That's the negative part. That's the con, right? The pro is that I would have done my best to complete a thought within a certain amount of time. I would have done my best to share this message and this transmission with whoever wants to come and get it. And if that's only three people who watch it and only one person who watches half of it and gets something out of it, then that's okay. And if nobody gets anything out of it at all, then that's also okay. Nobody's going to die. Nobody is getting hurt in the creation of this video, this audio, this piece of work and wording that I'm putting out into the world. But the risk of me not putting this video out, this information out, what's the risk of that to my soul and my psyche? It would reinforce all of the negative things that my shadow was saying. And so do it anyway. Push through that part anyway. It will make you feel like you are fucking crazy. It's so confusing to be in the middle of it, but there's a part of me that knows that I still have to put this out there. And my intention is to carry this message forward into my next piece of work, which is very vulnerable. All of the things that I'm saying to you are just all the things that I've been saying to you in this video are things that I'm downloading in close to real time about myself and things that I needed to hear. And I know that I'm not the only person who needs or could benefit from this. Mm-hmm. You're not creatively blocked. You're just not sitting in the frequency you need to be sitting in order to let the flow happen. So then, if you're not sitting in the frequency that you need to be sitting in order for the flow to happen, the flow that would enable you to write the thing, what are the things that you need to do in order to get back to that frequency? For some of you, it might be that you just need to relax and have a bubble bath with candles and a glass of red wine and a slice of chocolate cake. I don't know what your medicine is. You know what your medicine is, or you can figure it out. But if that's the thing that you need to do, that's going to get you back into the right frequency where you can pick up where you need to with the work, then that's the thing that you need to do. For me, I need to tell the truth on myself. I need to journal, but I need to journal more honestly. I'm somebody who has had a journaling practice I've been journaling since I was a kid, and almost every day I journal. And I've done it so much that I started lying to my own journal pages, which and like started censoring, self censoring, and editing them, which is not at all the plan. It's not the point. But I'm saying for myself that what I need to do is really sit with these uncomfortable, painful thoughts and experiences, really be clear with myself about how how important and sacred it is to pour these personal experiences into my work. I have a small voice in my brain that tells me that nobody wants to see a play that's super, super personal because it just seems like the playwright is trying to do therapy for themselves on stage or get validation. And I know that energy. It's so funny. I've created work about really personal, like my first professional play that that was produced. It was called A Chitenge Story, and it detailed, with a creative retelling, essentially the journey of me in my early 20s, really reckoning with and finding lots of healing in the area of a childhood incident of sexual abuse. I wasn't worried about the vulnerability in that regard, which is so funny. And then here I am. And also in that play, in Chitenge Story, which is published, by the way, I will put a link below if you want to go get a copy. It's in an anthology of solo shows for Black women. So, solo shows written by Black women in Canada. And each of these solos has a theme of some sort of thread that has to do with autobiography. It's called From the Ashes, and it was edited by Shantae Grant. I will put it in the description if you're interested. But in a Chitenge Story, the name of the character was Makambe. She went to Zambia. Like, I literally just told my story and then I dramaturged what really happened and I made it a bit more theater magical. It was magical, but theater magical. And that's not an issue that I seem to have then. But today I just feel such a different amount of vulnerability. And I also feel strongly that that is the point. That is the point. I'm sure there was a time when, with Chitenge's story, I did tread carefully and lightly. I mean, I was younger, but there is a time where I would have felt really nervous and didn't know how to get there. When I was writing a Chitenge story, it took me so long to admit what had happened to myself that the beginning of the process of creating the play, it was not just character Makambe experiencing the story. There was like an element of character Makambe in there, and it didn't acknowledge the sexual abuse at all or directly. But then also Billie Holiday was in it, and I was like really obsessed with Billie Holiday at the time, and I was like trying to draw all these similarities between me and Billie Holiday, which sounds like a cool comparison, but it didn't. Billie Holiday had nothing to do with the story that my soul actually really wanted to tell. But I was using her as not a buffer, but actually a gateway energetically for the character of Makambe within the piece to start to share. Because this lady singing all her blues, she went through so much pain and heartbreak. And there was something about that that gave myself as the character and myself as the creator permission to exist in the space and acknowledge that heartbreak. Also, she sang the blues, literally. Maybe I was giving myself permission to let myself turn my pain into music metaphorically, but you know, to alchemize it into something artistic, to honor it into something beautiful. Billie Holiday was my gateway. I can't even remember what the structure is. Like, I don't know what. It sounds so funny now, but what a beautiful guardian angel to come through and be like, yeah, 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 I'll be in the play. I'll be in the play. I'll be in the play. I'll be in the play less. Now I'll be in the play less. But you do, why don't you finish up scene 4? And then I'll just be in the play less and less. And then all of a sudden, Billie Holiday was not in the play. Wow. I wonder if like the spirit of Billie Holiday visits other people like that and she just tricks them and she's just like lovingly tricks them. She's just like, yeah, 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 write about me. Yeah, it's about me. And then after a while, she just like slowly withdraws until the person realizes that they are actually writing about themselves or writing about the thing that they were scared to write about, but that she gave them permission. I hope that with this transmission, I'm giving you permission. I hope that I'm giving myself permission. I'm excited and nervous and scared to jump into this next work, but I know that I'm not the only person struggling with this. I also feel like we live in a world and a time where we're just on our phones all the times. We're on screens all the times. And the algorithms of these really short videos that are like fucking up our attention spans and take away, they really minimize the integrity of our own attention. It makes it so much harder to sit in the hard things. it makes it so much harder to sit in hard emotions when you have all of these possible distractions. And so, part of the reason why you might not be able to access as deep as you could, as easily as you could, is because you're actually just spending too much time on your phone. You need to be in spaces where you need to give yourself time to not you need to give yourself time to be bored and just wander in your brain, or at least if you still need your brain to be occupied by something, right? I'm sure you don't want to just sit in your room and just like stare at the wall until inspiration comes. That's crazy. But you may need to do some activities that don't require so much of your brain's attention. So you're still doing something, but yeah, like, I don't know, that might be drawing or cleaning out a closet, like a different type of attention that allows you to maybe still do a task, but you're the superficial front part of your brain, that superficial front part of your brain is not being engaged by like videos of like cats doing weird things and like babies being sassy and just like a video about genocide and then also like somebody talking about how they just bought $7,000 shoes. Like the algorithms, like, oh my gosh, like, ugh, Instagram's a wild place. But if you're as sensitive as me, it's really, really hard to exist in that brain scramble. It literally feels like my brain is on a skillet and it's being scrambled. Putting sultan pepa and garlic powder in it, like serve it with some sriracha on the side. Like it's really hard. If you're anything like me, if I didn't realize how much this message was for me until I kind of got there, but this is just a reminder that you can do it. The safest place for you to exist is actually the page. The safest place for you to take all those feelings is the page. May we all give ourselves the gifts of purging that out, acknowledging, sitting with ourselves. May we remember how, I want to say, strong and resilient we are, but also that doesn't feel like the right language. May we remember how flexible we are, movable we are, dynamic we are. May we remember how powerfully we can alchemize. May we remember that we don't have to do it all by ourselves. May we remember that our ancestors, or our God, or our guides, or our muses, however it is that you like to think of it, may we remember that they are actually going to do the heavy lifting for us. What we have to do is show up. And show up could mean to physically sit at your writing desk. That's a part of it. But more importantly, show up means show up in the right frequency. So do whatever it is that you need to do in order to access that frequency. Sometimes we want to write about something that's so sad, and we want that piece of work to exist, but we are not ready to sit there and engage with the frequency of the sad that would actually go and create the work, and that's okay. Option A, you either allow yourself to go to that frequency and trust that it is working out for your greatest good. And option B, if that really doesn't feel nice, that really doesn't feel possible today or this week or even this month, you do not have to force yourself to go there. You might not be ready to go there, and that's okay. But knowing that you're not ready to go there in terms of where you're working with your peace, knowing that you don't have the current headspace or internal and external scaffolding that would support you plunging into the depths of this thing that you are excited to do but also scared by, knowing all of that is a much more empowered position than just being like, I'm blocked, I want to do the thing and I don't know why. No, You don't have to say it like that. You can just say, the piece is requiring me to go to some places that I'm not sure if I'm quite ready to go. So I'm going to sit with the fact that that's the reality right now. I'm not going to shame myself for that because I understand that this is part of any creative process. I'm not going to blame anyone or anything for that because it's not useful. I won't make it wrong or judge myself that I am in this place where my work is calling me to go to a place of vulnerability that I'm worried about getting to. So at that point, you decide, do I still want to continue with the work? Circle yes or no. It might be a no, and that might be just a piece of writing that you release. If it's a yes, then you have two other offshoots. You can, if it's a yes, you can basically decide that you are going to still go into the work, but you're not going to go now. You're going to take that time to sit here and take care of yourself. So I might take the week just journaling really, really honestly, letting myself really process and be with my feelings, or at least own them and acknowledge them. So I know what I really feel. So I have a sense as to how strongly I feel about any given issue, right? So I can intellectualize a lot. So I can say, I'm really upset at this family member for doing XYZ. But I will say it to you in this same tone. But sometimes I don't actually know how upset I am because I'm not actually sitting in it to understand where the depth is. And it's uncomfortable to sit in because you're not going to understand the depth of something until you reach the bottom. And I don't want to feel like I'm sinking for 1,000 years. That's the fear. So I'm either going to be in a space where I'm ready to let my brain take on that risk, and I'm going to set myself up for what I feel like is a good time to dive into that. Good people around me who might be able to support me through that. I'm going to set myself up for that. Exploration. Yeah. I feel like there was another option, but it's either you do that or the options are this. You either do that now or you do that later if you're still going to continue with the work. Those are actually the only options. Either you don't do the work at all, you abandon it, which I feel like you wouldn't be here at the end of this really long thing if that was the T. So that's probably not you. But if you're going to do it, you're either going to do it nowish or laterish. You're either going to do it now and kind of dive in and dig in, or laterish. I will also say that you don't have to dig super hard. Like, you do have to excavate a little bit, but you don't have to over excavate. And only you can really figure out what that soft spot is. But rather than excavating, I like to think of it as asking really soft and gentle questions to myself. How do I really feel about this thing? What is it about this that makes me so upset? What is it about this that makes me feel really good? And just let the answers be gentle and let the opening be gentle. You don't have to injure yourself in terms of doing your work. So see if you can get yourself through your care of self into the frequency that you need to get into in order to do the work you want to do the way you want to do it. And your first step actually isn't to write. Your first step is to name where you're at right now, identify that there is a frequency that the work requires that you're not at, identify that there's some amount of space between those things, and that space is actually immeasurable. Sometimes that space just needs the smallest little, and then all of a sudden you're off to the races. Sometimes that space needs a lot of actual clock time and things in between for you to approach that. But I can't tell you what that is, only you will know. But oh my gosh, cousins, let's do it. Let's do this. Let's trust ourselves that we can put these things out into the world. And even if the world just means that it's on the page or it's a document on the computer, let's give ourselves the gifts of bringing these ideas to fruition. Let's remember that we're actually like really smart, and we've got great ideas, and we've created many stories in our lives, and we consume a lot of stories every day, and we know a lot about what makes a good story. Let's follow our impulse. Let's lovingly tell our shadow when she tries to say, hey, you should stop this, you should do, let's lovingly tell her, hey, thanks so much for trying to keep me safe. I actually promised myself that I'm going to bring this to the end. So I'm going to let myself write the shittiest, messiest, most revealing, most embarrassing, most overexposing version of the thing first. I will write that for myself. And if it still feels really tender once I have completed that incredible transmission, I will take time. I will give it a break. I will walk away from it for days or weeks or months or years if I have to. I will come back to it when I feel called and I will reevaluate. From there, I will decide whether or not it needs to be on the stage, whether or not it needs to be on my publisher's desk, whether or not it needs to be on the internet. What if we trusted ourselves? But what if we just allowed ourselves to lean into the unknown and remember that the impulse to create the thing that was so strong, that had us off to the races, that impulse came from something that is bigger than me, came from the best parts of me, came from the wisest parts of me, because it knew that I would have to go through this exact process of figuring out who I really am in this moment, figuring out what I really think about these things and these people and these circumstances. What if the wisest parts of me pitched this idea and made me start working on it, made me share it with the some of the people and the energies where I I I'm held lovingly accountable, even if that loving accountability just looks like, hey, you're working on this thing, how's it going? What if the wisest parts of me wanted to pull me through the emotions and the processing of the things that I'm exploring about myself throughout this work? And what if it knew that the way for me to process this thing was actually through the writing? What if it knew very well the ways in which I constantly abandon myself and the ways in which I constantly downplay my own needs and my heartbreaks and my desires and my wounds for the service of this thing, which is my career, this thing, which is my work? What if that super wise part of me knew that maybe this was the only way that I was going to actually be forced to confront some of these things and explore and reveal and maybe heal some of them? What if my highest self, my ancestors, knew that if they tell me to just go to therapy, just go, just go, just go to talk to someone about it, just go and talk to the person about it? They knew that I would never do that, but they knew, this one, Makambe. If we make her make it a play, she'll do anything for plays. Oh no, Spirit, you tricked me! You tricked me! Fuck! Maybe the beauty of this is that when Makambe thinks that something is for other people, she can't wait to share it. That Makambe has an intention as an artist to be of service to humanity through her ability to tell stories and everything that that journey affords her and brings her and teaches her and shows her. So what if I was always meant to be here making this video? What if the point of it was for me, myself, to be here with very low tech? I don't even know if this mic is still working, nigga. Like, I don't even know. We've been here for an hour. This is crazy. But what if this was always the point? What if the point was for the fellow weirdo to be here still with me for them to know that that is the most direct confirmation that A, that we have an alignment as souls, so we might be in part of each other's special community in some way, shape, or form. B, that it's not only you who's writing this deeply personal thing. C, we get to write those deeply personal things and we get to own them. We must. I think that faking it and pretending that we're not tapping into a deep part of us is weird. It's lying. It actually makes you, that is the thing that makes you unsafe. When you're essentially writing about yourself, but you're not acknowledging that. You're writing about your family, but you're not acknowledging that. You're writing about your community, but you're not acknowledging that. Like you kind of are, but you aren't. You have to be honest about that within yourself. What you do on the press tour and what you tell the media and what you tell the Globe and Mail, I don't know, that's your business. That's your business. But you yourself have to know, and you have to be able to back what it is that you're doing. And let me tell you something, cousin. What I have learned and continue to be reminded of is the fact that writing is so vulnerable and so revealing. Nigga, it's so vulnerable and so revealing. I say that word a lot. I think it feels really good in my mouth. I know that not everybody who watches this resonates with that. I'm just owning that and acknowledging that. But you you are welcome even if you're not black. And if you are black and you don't like that word, I do understand, and I acknowledge that. And also, it's important that I talk the way that I want to talk in the moment, because it is the practice of this kind of truth telling that I need to feel like I can sit for an hour and 6 minutes, 7 minutes now, and be willing to be vulnerable with the truth. And there is something that's easy about it coming from my mouth. There's something that feels flowy about me just doing a talky YouTube video that's not that well produced, so that I don't feel the pressure that, I don't know, that it's going to do well and lots of people are going to watch it. That is still, though, a part of putting something outside, putting something out there that is important and useful for my practice, because that is what writing does. So if I could sit here and practice today being honest and vulnerable and squirrely and share my intentions for who I want to talk to, and then also realize and be able to understand that those intentions of who I want to talk to are also connected to the parts of myself that I want to talk to, and to be able to own the vulnerability and beauty of that, and the squirreliness and the majesty of that, and the humility of that for 1 hour, 8 minutes, and 12 seconds. If I can do that on a YouTube video or this audio, however I'm going to put this out, I can do that at my desk, can't I? If I can channel like this, holding this little microphone that I'm not sure if it's still working, I can do that at my desk. And I can do that on the page. May we let the page be the safest place for us to be. May we trust ourselves with the magnitude of its possibilities, and may we remember that it is our right to write. It is our right to express. It is our right to think what we think in the moment that we think it, even if that is not what we are going to think the moment after we have thought that thought. It is our right to write those things down. I will never tell you what you should or should not make public or publish. Sometimes you might write something and then you just, you know, share it only with your family and friends, or maybe only with your partner, or maybe it's only for your children, or maybe it's something that you might want published, but only after you're dead. You have so many options, and that is completely in your court, completely. But what is also in your court is that you have to be able to tell the truth about yourself to yourself. Whether you're writing something that's directly talking about yourself on purpose, you know, naming the character Makambe in a play about a journey that is almost exactly like mine, or a piece where I'm dealing with an ensemble of characters of different walks of life and different experiences that I have had, but who are energetically me. Every single part of it is me. We as writers never really fool anyone when we pretend that we're not doing that. And it's very cringy and embarrassing. And also, that's not a bad thing. Of course, it's cringy. It's going to feel cringy and embarrassing. That doesn't mean that it shouldn't be happening. That just means it's vulnerable. But that doesn't mean you're not even going to like it. Every time before I step on stage for the first time, I feel nervous. I have a moment. I do genuinely fully panic for about 6 seconds, sometimes a bit more. But I do have this moment of like, oh my gosh, how do I stop this? How do I, like, there is a part of me that just wants to not go out there because I'm like, oh my gosh, I always think, especially when the show is going to open or we're going to have our first audiences, I always feel like I'm going to forget all my lines. And then I'll try to start thinking about what my lines are so I can remember that I remember them. I have acted on stage enough to understand what my shadow does and what my shadow sounds like when I'm about to go on stage. And so I can see the pattern, so I know how to talk to it. But all I'm saying is that as we are diving into new ventures and going to new places, we don't always know how to identify what our shadow's shenanigans are, what our shadow's tricks are. Because, yeah, I have coaches too who call them sniper parts, that they're just like, the idea that they are looking from afar and they only need one shot. They just need to hit you right where it hurts, and then everything crumbles. When we go into new heights, new adventures, new spaces, or new, yes, it's like, okay, I'm writing a play and I've written other plays before, but there is something different about this. There are different stakes here. When we go into a new space, the sniper parts can sound different than they did before. And so it can be really confusing when you are there in that experience, because you don't understand why it's hard for you to write a play this time, but it wasn't hard for you to write a play 15 years ago or 10 years ago or 3 years ago or 7 years ago. But you're always evolving, you're always in a new reality every single day with every single choice. You're in a new timeline, and it is okay that a thing that felt easy at a certain time feels harder now. It doesn't mean you shouldn't do it. And also, you're probably looking back at these things feeling like it was so easy, but I bet you if you were to go back and actually watch the reality TV footage of you writing your first play or of you doing some of these things for the first time, it wasn't as easy as you're remembering it now. I bet you $7.44 that is the case. 744. What a specific number. Um, mm, I love that. Is there anything else that I want to say? I feel like I could go on and on and on and on and on, and I will. But let me bring some of this over to the page. Let me practice what I preach. Thanks for staying with me this whole time. I love you. I'm proud of you. I'm rooting for you. I understand all of your feelings, I think. Your feelings are valid. Your vulnerabilities are valid. Your tenderness is valid. Your anxiety is valid. And also, what's the most valid is not just the fact that it is your right to tell your story, not just the fact that it's your desire to tell your story, but it's actually your destiny. So baby, if you are a person who has resonated with this whole thing out here with me almost an hour and 15 minutes, if you are someone who is still here, you're like, I think what she's saying, this Makambe, it's making sense, my nigga, it's making sense. If you are a person who's still here, I promise me, yes, I promise me, yes, I'm enough. I promise myself, and I promise you that these stories that we are working on, that we think we are blocked on, we are not blocked. We are just, for many reasons that are very understandable, that we will not shame. We are not blocked. We are simply avoiding the true portal and doorway. You're not blocked. You're just not using the door. You're just trying to avoid the true portal. You were just scared of what the portal will feel like when you step through it. But I want to remind you that you've stepped through so many portals. And it's only the sensation of stepping through the portal that feels crazy. It's always better on the other side. And the other side has calm, it has deep breaths, it has gratitude, it has release, it has dropped shoulders, it has deep breaths, it has long sighs, it has water, it has water, it has water. It has softness, it has relaxation, it has understanding, it has the ability to turn back and see, okay, so that's what that was. It has agency, it has sovereignty. It has you. It has yourself. The most important thing about stepping through that portal is the you that you will find ready to embrace you and cheer for you and hold you and dry any tears and give you a cool glass of your favorite thing and cuddle you and say, yes, little nigga, you did it. It's a relay race. So the next version of you now picks up that baton. This version of you who got through this portal gets to rest. They get ice cream. They get to be taken care of by the bigger version of you, the older version of you, the wiser version of you, the tomorrow version of you who now gets to go and live life and experience things and then collect those things and experience what it means to be alive, having gone through that portal until they themselves start to get called towards their own portal, their own creation, the one that feels scary just the way this one does, but for that version of you. And that version of you is going to look back and be like, this is really hard. Like, man, like, I know I thought it was hard like last time when I had to do that thing and like walk through that other portal, but like, I wish I knew this was really hard. Like, all of that, all of those shenanigans. Let's finish these projects, babes. Let's jump timelines. Let's see what's on the other side. Let's go meet, like, we're already cool and very cute. Let's go meet even cooler and cuter versions of ourselves and be hugged and kissed by them and let them feed us okra soup and give us a blanket and a face mask and the ability to rest and relax and be proud of what we've done. And yeah, let's pass the baton. Let's understand that we've come this far and we've done amazing. We've done amazing. We've done amazing. We've really, really done well in ways that people outside recognize, but we've done well in ways that people don't know. We've done so well in ways that are so internal we wouldn't even know how to articulate. Only the closest people to us know. We've done well, baby. We've done well. Let's bring this across the finish line. And once we've done that, we'll go from there. Okay. I think that is all that I needed to say. Wow, what a juicy channel. This is probably the longest of these that I've ever done. I feel like I could keep going, but I think I will end it here. I love you. You've got this. If you want any support to brainstorm or to have some of your work reflected back to you, or you want to talk through anything, or you want notes on some writing, my information is in the description box, so you can get that and get in touch if it feels like I might be a good fit to be one of your mirrors or cheerleaders. But if not, all the best anyway, and I can't wait to see what it is that you create. Okay, love you. Bye.